Yo, Salaam nerds. It's your boy Neebs, aka Watch But Neebs, and I'm here with my co-host Jazz, aka DJ. Your mission, if you choose to accept it.
You know what? I accept.
You accept? All right,
I
Jazz.
accept.
This is going to be a fun one because this is one of my favorite franchises of all time. In my opinion, one of the most consistently successful franchises of all time, and that is Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. I am really excited for this. What about you,
Part
Jazz?
one.
Part
I'm
1.
very excited. This was a fun movie. I didn't get to see it like in its like first couple of weeks because I was so busy. But then Rocky and I were getting lunch at Blaze Pizza, and then he was like, "Hey, we should go see Mission Impossible." And I'm like, "You know what? Yes, let's go do it." So I canceled my entire schedule for the rest of the day, and we went and saw Mission Impossible. It was great.
Baller. Well, speaking of Rocky joining us once more. Welcome, Rocky.
Thank you for having me. Could not be more excited as a member of the Church of TC or Tom Cruise. I'm very excited about this movie.
I like that you're dressed up in a suit right now. It's very Tom Cruise like.
It was just for you guys. It was really just for you. I was fishing for a compliment. I'm glad I got it. I might actually just leave on a high note. This might be
Hey,
it.
you know what's really funny? The suit that Tom Cruise wears, the silver suit that he wears in Mission Impossible Ghost Nation, Ghost
No,
Protocol.
Rogue
Ghost
Nation.
Protocol.
Ghost Protocol. I went and bought that, and then the blue one that he wears.
He wears
it
a
was
blue one in Ghost Protocol and a gray one in Rogue Nation.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
I
it.
mixed them two up. Yeah. I bought those two exact suits. And in this one, I bought his tie, the tie he wears at the airport because it looks fresh to death.
That's incredible. So the suit that he wears in Rogue Nation is actually based on the suit that Cary Grant wore in North by Northwest.
Oh, no way.
Whoa.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
So it's very much sort of the gray. So even in the new one, when he's in the airport sequence in Abu Dhabi, it's very much like a North by Northwest callback with the suit.
That's interesting because that episode, Rogue Nation, is the one where he hangs on the outside of the plane, right?
Yep. That's how it starts. Yeah.
That makes
And
sense.
there's the famous scene in North by Northwest with the planes
the
chasing
plane.
Cary Grant.
Yeah. Oh, very cool, man. All right. Well, this is going to be a cool one. So what we'll do is we'll go around, talk about how we thought about the movie and without any spoilers, and then maybe like 10-15 minutes into it we'll get into spoilers, and then the very last 5 minutes we will do Easter eggs. Sounds good to you guys?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, and we'll do commercial breaks in between. All right, so let's start this off. The movie starts off in a Russian submarine, which is really cool, and then we learn about these keys, special keys. They're kind of like, you need two keys to kind of make them work, which every movie has a MacGuffin, right? There's always a MacGuffin in every single Mission Impossible movie. And if you don't know what a MacGuffin is, it's kind of like, how do I describe it? It's like
It's a
something
thing.
to move the plot forward. It's kind of just like something everyone's going after. It could even be a thing. It could be in person. In Doctor Strange, the MacGuffin was, America Chavez, who was the girl who could teleport. So
What's her name?
she what? I don't, it's
What was her
America,
name?
right?
America Chavez. Yeah.
Yeah, it is Americans.
Since we're talking about MacGuffins, it was a phrase that Alfred Hitchcock coined. Since we're talking about North by Northwest, as a object or an event that sort of drives the plot or character. So there you go.
Yeah. Did you know that in the AMC theaters, the ones that actually have a bar, the bar is called MacGuffins?
MacGuffin. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
MacGuffins.
Very cool. We love that. So this MacGuffin is basically going to be this AI that can do all types of tricks, such as making the submarine think there's a phantom submarine, where it actually ends up shooting at it, but then those torpedoes actually end up coming back, and boom. Dead reckoning, which is actually like a nautical term, which is how you calculate, where you are by calculating where you were and speed and all this like fun math. But that's why the movie's called Dead Reckoning. And in the submarine is the only time you hear them say the word, which every time they say the word, I'm like that meme from Family Guy, like, there it is. So I heard him say Dead Reckoning. I got excited. He should have said part 1 though. All right, so this movie kind of sets up what the movie's going to be about. let's go into it. Oh, actually, no. So this is we actually started doing the spoilers already. Oops, my bad.
Yes, you did.
Yeah,
I was
I
wondering,
we
did.
like,
gotta roll
I know
with
you
that.
said
It
we were
actually
doing
does
without
not start
spoilers, and
with
you
a
just dive right
submarine.
into it.
Ignore everything. It does not start with a submarine.
Yeah, it doesn't start with a submarine. I lied. Everything I said was a lie. I got so excited. Also, it's midnight. You guys made me stay up so late
Oh
for
my
you
god, you're on the
guys.
East Coast, man. I forgot about it.
Yes,
I'm so
yes.
sorry.
All right.
Uh,
Overall, I really love this movie. It's basically everything I wanted in a Mission Impossible movie and more. Real stunts, action, fun plot, Tom Cruise being Tom Cruise, a lot of fun actors, mask being ripped off. I loved it. I loved it. Is it my favorite Mission Impossible? Maybe not, but it's still up there. It's still up there. Rocky, what about you?
Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One was my most anticipated film of the year. I am a massive Mission Impossible fan. Every time I travel, I recreate Mission Impossible. We recreated the
Yeah.
walk up to the opera sequence from Rogue Nation with a buddy last year in
Hmm.
Vienna. We tweeted to Chris McQuarrie, the director, and he was like, love it. So massive, massive Mission Impossible fan. I think this movie is fantastic. We just don't get sort of large scale practical action like this anymore. For God's sakes, they built an entire train and wrecked it. Uh,
With
you know,
compartments, like several
it,
compartments.
with compartments with the furniture inside. It just doesn't get any better than this. And I mean, you know, I just finished listening to the 3 Hour Empire podcast that Chris McQuarrie did, and they started shooting this movie in 2020,
Yeah,
and
during
it's
COVID.
had so many delays because of COVID. They had to close shop, and the way the mission movies work is they never start with a completed script. They figure it out on the go.
Yeah, yeah. That's why they had to do the stunt first because they didn't know where the story was going to lead, and without the stunt, they weren't going to have the story. It was so weird.
Hmm.
Like in Fallout when he's chasing Henry Cavill on top of the rooftops. Like when they shot that sequence, they had no idea why he was chasing him.
That's amazing.
That's so funny. It's like you just figure it out as you go
As
along.
you go. Simon Pegg, who's in the movie, likened the production to I guess all the movies, like the Wallace and Gromit skit where he's putting the rails as the train is going in front of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really, really funny. Also, you mentioned COVID. This is the infamous movie where Tom Cruise had his rant about COVID that went viral during 2020, I believe, and it went all over. And then people were like, you know what? He kind of has a point, man. Wear a mask, goddammit. You're gonna the entire industry is like, banking on this movie. We got to make sure that it does well. So it was an inflated budget because of COVID
Yeah.
on this too.
You bring up a great point because it was the only movie that sort of was the first movie that came back into production and
Right.
stayed in production while COVID was going on. And other movies and insurance companies and everyone else, they were talking to Tom Cruise and Chris McQuarrie on how to run a set in these conditions. So they were paying their crew through COVID, through all the breaks. It kept jobs alive. And quite
Yeah.
honestly, everything else we got after that, they set the model on how to shoot during COVID.
There's a lot of cool stuff about that. But before we get into that, Jazz, what are your overall thoughts about the movie?
I can't add anything to it. I had one gripe, but we'll get into that later. And Rocky, I told you about it the moment we walked out of the theater. And, it's fine. It's an action movie. Like, this kind of stuff happens. But aside from that, it was just a great movie. I had a great time. Can't wait for the next part.
Yeah, I'm also very excited for it. All right, so now that we've done that, and I've already talked about the first 5 minutes of the movie, which doesn't really spoil anything. Like if you don't know there's a MacGuffin in a Mission Impossible movie, you're an idiot. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's literally all I spoiled. All right.
This is how we get the big ratings, by calling the audience idiots.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I
All
love
of
you
you are
guys. Don't hate
idiots.
me. Listen, nobody who watches Mission Impossible is an idiot, right? Your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to listen to this podcast. We're the two idiots on here.
Well,
All
let me
right.
make this very clear. Rocky and I,
We're
we've had this
privileged to be number
conversation
3.
many times.
What was that?
Yeah.
No, I said privileged to be the third one.
Nice.
And
I
Rocky and I
know.
have had this conversation so many times about how much we hate everybody in the world.
Oh,
Except Tom Cruise.
Yeah, okay. I love me some Tom Cruise because Tom Cruise actually follows me on Twitter. I don't know why. I've never talked to him, but he follows me
Uh,
on Twitter.
Neebs, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened to you, and I'm
Yeah.
in admiration, just total and utter admiration for you.
I think like I was like talking about how much I love Tom Cruise when Twitter just came out, and like his probably some intern that works for him just followed me for some reason. That's the only thing I could think of, right? Or the other that's like probably what happened. So like like the simplest explanation is probably the right one, but in my head it's like Tom Cruise thinks I'm cool, then he followed me.
Of course you did. And what a great Twitter bio too. Running in movies since 1981.
I love that. I love his Twitter bio. And you can actually get an entire like collection of him running in all the Mission Impossible movies, and it's fantastic. The best one though is Mission Impossible 3 and then Ghost Protocol, in my opinion. Those are my two favorite.
You didn't like the Fallout rooftop chase when he's running across the buildings and like at full sprint?
I love that, but there's this one scene in 3 where he's running.
That's the continuous one, right?
Yeah, when an explosion
guy.
happens, it's so good. And then there's the Ghost Protocol one in the desert. I love that one too, man.
Yeah.
That one is really good. They're all good. They're all solid.
great.
I'm always gonna be partial to the third one because that was actually the first Mission Impossible I ever saw. In
okay.
The
it
rabbit's
was,
foot.
like, in my 8th grade year in high school, so it was
Philip
kinda
Seymour
cool.
Hoffman, also J.J. Abrams' first movie.
Yeah.
I
Abrams was on it.
So
Yeah,
J.J.
yeah.
Abrams directed it. That was the first feature film he ever made.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
And then he did like a bunch of them afterwards. And I think
Yeah, so then he got the Star Trek franchise through Paramount.
Yeah.
And then he did Star Wars, and he did like Super 8 as well. So Tom Cruise saw Alias, which was this TV show with Michelle Monaghan, and was like, "Hey, I'll get this guy to do 3."
Yeah. One is like the one with the best plot still. Like the best plot. It's so good.
I mean, it's Brian De Palma. I mean, you can just study that film just on a pure cinematography level. I mean, that
Yeah.
entire conversation. Also, Henry Czerny, what an incredible actor, back as Kittredge. in this
Yes.
but yeah, it's great.
Tom Cruise is insane. Like in Mission Impossible 2, the scene where the knife goes almost into his eye, that's not CGI. That's
a real
Tom
knife.
Cruise. He said, "Yo, stab me from within a millimeter of my eye." And like the guy's like, "Okay, sure, Tom, we'll do that."
There's a great interview with the director John Woo talking about how they rigged that knife, and they asked him, "Hey, were you afraid for Tom?" And he's like, "Nah." And
Oh,
that's how you know John Woo's the man, because he's just that cool.
That movie got me into rock climbing. When you see the opening where like Tom Cruise comes out and just like the rock climbing, that movie got me into rock climbing.
I mean, I think it goes without saying that the look is just based on Mission Impossible 2.
Oh yeah, fair.
That was never in depth.
Love it. There's so many good Mission Impossibles. Like, I've actually been on the outside of a plane. I've done the wing walking experience where you're literally hanging on the wing of a plane while it's in the air.
He's doing that in the next one. He's doing
I know.
A wing walk on the biplane and possibly jumping from one to another.
Oh, I did not do that. I did not jump from one to the other, but I did wing walk on the plane. The other thing that he's doing in a movie, and I don't think it's in Mission Impossible, it might be in a different movie, but he's doing a movie in space apparently. And I did the zero gravity thing too. So like, awesome. I based most of my adventures off of Tom Cruise. Like he is a idol. Like,
have you guys seen the behind the scenes stuff of him on the biplane talking to the audience as the plane inverts, and then he skydives while he's talking to the audience?
No, I don't think I've seen that, but that sounds
I would definitely watch it. It's great. They're both on YouTube. He's basically thanking the audience for Top Gun. One, he's on the biplane while it's twirling like in midair, and the other one, he's just skydives and talks to people, and then goes down.
My biplane was also twirling and doing loops and stuff, so yeah, I got that.
Yeah. That's why he follows you on Twitter.
I know. He we're kindred spirits. Oh man. The other thing that I didn't know about was Halo skydiving. I had no idea what that was until he did it, and I was like, I want to do that. But then I saw that you have to cover your face, and I was like, no, I need my face open for the gram. Like I need people to know that it's me who's doing it. It's really really funny.
That's amazing.
Uh,
You know,
We're
in
approaching 15 minutes. Why don't we head
all
to
right,
our
we're
first
approaching
commercial
15
break?
minutes. We did a lot of regular talk about Tom Cruise. We're gonna go into commercials, and we will be right back. And we're back, guys. All right, listen, let's talk about the movie. Let's go forward. Let's recap. There's going to be spoilers, important spoilers. I probably spoiled a little something. You know, the only thing I really spoiled in the beginning is the fact that there's a MacGuffin, and the MacGuffin is an AI. So, what are your thoughts about this new MacGuffin that we have? The whole thing in the beginning with the submarine, Rocky.
Loved it. So it's obviously a very solid callback to The Hunt for Red October, which is a great film
Yes,
with Sean Connery. If you haven't seen it, the reason I bring it up is the movie starts with them talking in Russian, and then the camera moves and they switch to English, which is
English.
exactly what
Yeah.
Hunt for Red October does. So I fell in love with the submarine sequence. I thought it was incredible, and originally it wasn't even supposed to be in this movie. So uh, glad that came together.
Yeah. Jazz. What about you?
Okay. I love this scene so much because of like with the recent Ocean Gate submarine implosion, right? Like everybody's like learning about submarines, and the timing of it was kind of weird. Like when the movie came out, I thought they may have had to delay it, but a lot of people are learning about submarines, the control systems, and all sorts of other mechanical features of submarines. And then seeing it like in a sub like that was really cool. And then the AI portion of it, oh my god, that is scary. But that's also where we're headed.
Scary.
So yeah, I truly enjoyed this part. The part, nah, we'll get to it later.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff going on with AI, man. AI is incredible, and like the fact that this story decided to make that the focal point of the entire like next two movies is pretty interesting because we're going through it with like the strike, which we support, by the way. If you can see down there, we definitely support the strike. But it's also about AI, and there's so much stuff that we don't know about AI, but there's so much potential with it, and it's crazy. It's this amazing, great thing that could also be our downfall. So, like, it's crazy. There's a lot of good and bad to it, and the fact that they made this the plot of the movie is very, very interesting, and I like the way the plot goes. Next, what we do is we see them in Amsterdam in a flashback sequence. So now this sequence takes place before the first Mission Impossible, and
Yeah.
it's really interesting. We get to see like the guy who plays Gabriel, and we're like learning something about his like first wife, which I didn't know about. I thought he only had one wife.
So apparently, it's not a wife; it's a woman that he knows.
Okay.
Something that the director talked about was sort of casting that person and why it plays such a pivotal role. And originally, it was supposed to be a big, longer scene, and they'd released some clips from that in
Mhm.
some of the earlier TV spots, but it didn't, it just didn't end up working in the test screenings in the movie. So they shortened that, and you'll see some of it in the next one. So, but it's, I'm curious to see where that all leads.
All right. Cool.
Mariela Garriga, I think, is the actress. She's apparently a Cuban actress, apparently very incredible, and uh, supposed to have a bigger role in the second one.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
Cool.
Very cool. I actually didn't know that. That's pretty cool. And then we get to see Rebecca Ferguson. And she is from the last movie. We get to see her, and she is in some kind of sandstorm. And I was like, oh, another sandstorm. Gross Protocol again. And he has to kind of save her, but then he does save her, and then he goes, "You're dead. You're dead." I think her name is Elsa in the movie.
Ilsa
Uh,
Faust, yeah.
yeah. What was your thought of them bringing her back?
Ilsa is probably my favorite female spy, I would say, like ever. I think
Wow.
she's an incredible character, like throughout, like from Rogue Nation all the way to here. I think she's such an interesting character, and I think she's just incredibly badass. And Rebecca Ferguson is just, my god, great. So I'm always there for more Ilsa.
Like, love it, love it. And then they go into the intelligence room, which is a fun little callback because you get to see, some of the characters that you might remember, and they also have a line where they go, "Well, Ethan is in disguise; he's there the whole time." Uh, and then he kind of just, in there, I think he finds out a lot of stuff about what's going on, and then he tells them about Uh, okay. Then he tells them about stuff like what's going on with the AI, and they're learning all about that stuff. I thought that scene was pretty cool. Really cool callback. What were your thoughts about that, Rocky?
I'm gonna fanboy for a second about Henry Cerny here, and the reason is something that Chris McQuarrie, the director, kept saying was how much he would rewrite his lines and how much
Yeah.
better it made it. And an example he gives is in the intelligence room when you're talking about it, and Carrie Elwes's character is like, do you actually believe that we can stop the AI with these keys? And he says, what's important is the rest of the world believes it. And there's a line where he goes, none of our allies have willingly whispered one word of this to us. And the original line was none of our allies have whispered a word of this to us. He added willingly. And the reason willingly makes it interesting is that means that we're spying on our allies.
Yeah. That's really cool.
And,
I heard
damn.
I heard he actually talked and like really like got to know about CIA agents and stuff like that after the first movie. He did all this research because he thought he was going to be in so many more of them, and he ended up being in none of them. But that research still came in handy.
And every way, I mean, every syllable that man enunciates is just a pleasure to hear. He's just got an incredible tone, incredible diction, and it's just so much fun to see him choose scenery.
Yeah, and there's a line where he goes like, the next war won't be a Cold War, but it'll be a war of resources, like water and all stuff. And I was like, damn, that might be hitting a little too close to home. I wouldn't be surprised, right? That's wild. That is insane.
So I guess something interesting also about Kittredge as a character is we meet him in the first one when he's director of the IMF. Now he's director of the CIA. And so he's basically been shuffling around agencies to figure out how the machine works, which I thought was interesting. Also, big Easter egg back at the office is a portrait of oh my god, I'm blanking on her name. She played the CIA director in Angela Bassett. Angela Bassett's portrait, because she's now the president. So she went from being CIA director in the last one to president in this one.
So. Wow. I did see her picture. I didn't know that meant she's the president. Wow.
Yeah, she's the president now, so.
All right.
Which is why Kittredge is now CIA director.
Makes a lot of sense.
I'm here for it. Angela Bassett as president. Can we make this a reality, please?
Yeah. The other callback that I thought was really cool is at one point he goes to Ethan after he takes off his mask, which obviously the mask is like one of my favorite parts of the movie. And he goes, I understand you're upset. And like that's the line from the first movie where he goes like, you've never seen me upset. Like, oh my god. I was like, yes. Love that callback. Really, really good. Yes, that scene was really good. Next, we move on and we see Luther and Benji. Luther is probably the only person who's been in every single Mission Impossible movie, which I had no idea. I was like, oh, I didn't know he was in the first one, but yes, after watching, I was like, yeah, okay. And then I think Benji's in every single one after like 4 or something, or
3. He's introduced in 3, and then he's there from then on.
Yeah. So in here we have like the airport scene, which was really cool, and we get to see use a mask again, and the CIA people are like running after people, and they're like touching their face and trying to pull their face because they're trying to see if they're wearing a mask. Like, so good. It's really, really well done. I like seeing Luther and Benji again, and this is where we get to finally meet Haley Atwell. So that was really interesting, and her character Grace. So they're here to get this key, and they meet Haley Atwell, and they do the sleight of hand stuff with the keys, which is always fun. What were your thoughts about the airport scene, which includes Benji trying to counter this bomb that's going off and figure out all these riddles, while Tom Cruise is like trying to get this key from Grace, and then the CIA people are trying to capture them. All of these crazy things happening at once, and then it ends with an amazing chase running scene on the top of the freaking Abu Dhabi airport, which is incredible. Like, that's crazy. What are your thoughts, Rocky?
I mean, I think you said everything that needed to be said. It's such a complicated sequence, but you know exactly where people are. in terms of geography. You know exactly what's happening, and that's just hard to do. And that's just incredible editing and incredible sort of just a fundamental understanding of good storytelling. It's a great sequence. They bring out the sleight of hand, like you said, from the first movie.
From the
Hasn't been
first movie with the disc. Yeah.
and like I mean the entire thing. I mean, the film nerd side of me is like very sort of North by Northwest, where Cary Grant takes her into the UN building when he's investigating what's going on there, and they're wearing very similar type of suits. And there's even a shot when he's running on the airport in Dead Reckoning. There is a flight that goes behind him.
I love that scene where he's on the airport. That's just so good.
So
And like the airport actually let them shoot that scene, and then Tom Cruise hung out with all the people at the airport afterwards and like signed autographs, took pictures, like super chill guy. Like just nice. Just super nice guy. I know he had a bad rep back in the 90s or the early 2000s with his ex-wife, but we haven't heard anything since then. Looked like he got his shit together. So that's good to hear. But he actually saved the guy once from a burning car in real life.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
We're all Tom Cruise fanboys here. It's okay.
I know.
Church of TC.
Church of TC.
Church of TC.
Are we going Scientology next? Is that
Hey, might as well go clear.
Listen, John Travolta is also in Scientology. How come he never gets shit? It's only Tom Cruise.
Even Will Smith was in that for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. It's a lot. All right. We don't know. But you know what? At this point, we get to see the scene change place and they go to Rome. The Rome sequence, I was like, oh, we just saw Fast and Furious. So we're like, oh, another car chase in Rome. This looks very familiar. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was a really cool action scene. And we get to meet some other characters. We got to meet Paris, who is, played by Palm, who you might know from Mantis in the Guardians of the Galaxy. She is so incredible in this movie. Just no lines, just all visual acting. I think she does such a great job. To the point where I'm like, I could see her as a Harley Quinn. Like she is so good in this movie.
Yes.
Right?
She so good.
She could kill it as Harley Quinn. And then there's this entire chase scene. Then Tom Cruise does this thing with the handcuffs. Also, in this chase scene, a lot of the stuff we see is from Grace's point of view. Like you're in the car and you see Tom Cruise just smash into a guy with a bicycle, with a motorcycle, and you don't see how he got there. You just see him come out there. And then they do that again at the end too, and it's just amazing. Rocky, what are your thoughts?
That entire thing is like a one shot. It's a oneer, and it establishes geography of where the CIA guys are, where the Italian police is, where Paris is, and then finally where these two are, and it does the whole thing in one take. It's great.
Yeah, it's really great. And one of the funniest parts is when he handcuffs himself to Grace, but then he handcuffs his left side because he obviously going to need to fight with the right side, but it turns out he can't drive, so he has to put her in the driving seat. And then the little yellow Fiat rolls over on the stairs, and as it's rolling, they switch places, which I thought was really funny. Really great use of comedic elements in this movie, which is really, really fun. I really loved it. Jazz, what are your thoughts?
10 out of 10 right there, man. Like when they switched places, I was audibly laughing in the theater. Luckily it was just me and Rocky in the theater and maybe two other people, so it was great. I'm just having the time of my life watching this whole sequence going down.
Yeah. It was really, really good. And then we get to meet Vanessa Kirby from Fallout, which was exciting. She plays the White Widow, and she may be our next Sue Storm. We don't know yet, so that might be exciting.
Okay.
Really cool to see her. And they talk about how they have to go visit her, and they say, well, does she still think you're John Mark? Because in Fallout, Ethan had to pretend to be John Mark. And then Ethan goes, how do you know I'm not? Which I was like, oh, wait a second. What does that mean? I was like,
real?
Yeah.
Is he AI? Who knows?
I don't know. But I thought that was really cool callback. We're glad to see them. So they head to Venice for this party fun little party that they're having, which is a very common Mission Impossible trope. There's always a party somewhere happening.
Every spy
Um,
movie has to have a party.
yeah, it always has to have a party. But what I loved about this is that the AI was there the whole time. Like it's in every scene, it's the lights, it's the background, and you don't realize the AI has been there the whole time until like halfway through this entire scene, which I thought was amazing. This reveal was really, really cool. Rocky, what are your thoughts on that?
Incredible. I mean, I really love the Venice stuff. I mean, the scene you're talking about where the camera does a 360 around him to reveal,
Yeah.
I mean, and Gabriel's got a funny line too. You could say, that this party is that interested part, and then it's the AI. So interesting tidbit, which people might find interesting. Ving Rhames doesn't really travel too much anymore,
Mhm.
so all his stuff is really shot on the studio. So anytime you see Ving Rhames outside in outside space in this movie, it's actually a body double where they, composite his face on. So in Venice, when they're all
Oh,
on the boat, that's actually not Ving Rhames. It's just
no way.
yeah. And there's a lot of that in this movie because like COVID restrictions and actor availability. So sometimes it's a lot of the time it's not that actor in like the reverse shot.
Is he like really old? Is that why? Is it like
Yeah, he
health?
just doesn't travel too much. I think he may have had some health concerns, but most of his stuff is usually just shot in the studio.
That's good. All right. Well,
It
good.
also
Good for
makes
him.
sense. Like, it's happened during COVID. He doesn't want to die. Like, I get it. If he's
Right.
old.
That was the other
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And this was early COVID, where everybody was dying. Like it was. It
Mm-hmm.
was a scary time.
Yeah.
It's so crazy that that was so long ago. It feels like it just happened. It's
Well,
insane.
good thing we beat it.
Yeah.
Oh, about that.
Nah. Well, let's see. Gabriel says something else. He goes like, "It is written." So it's kind of like how this AI is using these algorithms and stuff to kind of see the future almost and predict what's going to happen, which is really, really interesting. And I thought that was really, really cool. Fun fact about the AI. The AI sound is actually the Predator sound, just like reworked. Like the
I
Predator
had no
noise.
idea about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
because like,
They use a Predator noise and they just kind of like reverb it or something.
So apparently, the way they came up with that sound, because it wasn't there originally, Edgar Wright, who is the director of the Cornetto trilogy, and yeah, you folks know who Edgar Wright is, but he saw the movie and he actually recommended it to Chris McQuarrie. He said, "Hey, there should be some sort of sound that like makes it go," and that kind of completely changed the movie. And then the sound guys were recording it off. He apparently had an older version of a computer, and he with the old Windows, and it would make a weird whirring sound when he tried to like get past it. And he was like, "Hey, I think this sound could work." So they spent like a few hours just recording variations of that, and that's what they're using.
That's cool. That's so
that's
cool.
awesome. Because like every now and then, I'll actually go on YouTube and like listen to old Windows 95 sounds. Nostalgia. Yeah, but no, like I'm glad you brought up the sound that the AI makes because when they did the reveal and that you heard that hum,
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my god, that's the AI!"
It was
Like,
there the
and it
whole
was just in
time.
front of our face the whole time.
In plain sight.
And until the sound came on, I didn't connect it. Like it was so well done.
That was like M. Night Shyamalan little twist right there, man. I was just like, whoa, it was there the whole time. I loved it. Also, the AI kind of shows it's like, we saw the AI do his thing in the submarine. We saw it do his thing in the airport with the bomb. In this one, it pretended to be Benji, which confused Tom Cruise and had him running in the wrong direction, which, makes Ethan kind of not get there in time to save Elsa, who ends up dying. Which the only part about the movie that I did not like, in my opinion, is like, oh, they're gonna fridge her just for Ethan's sake. And I was like, no, because I definitely wanted to see more of her. She's such a great actor, such a great character. And she pretend died so many times. I was hoping it was one more. What were your thoughts about that, Rocky?
So I did not like it initially,
Mm-hmm.
but I've come around to it, and I am very positive we have not seen the full scene. I'll say why. Because while she's fighting with Gabriel and Gabriel sticks the knife in, there is a cut to Tom Cruise running, or Ethan running, and he gets out. and then he finds that she has died, but we don't have that space of time or whatever took place on that bridge after.
Oh,
So
we don't know how long she was on the bridge. You're right. It could have been up like 20 seconds. It could have been 10 minutes. We don't know.
Yeah.
right. So I'm just saying, whatever that is, we haven't seen the last of it.
Okay.
Good
Okay.
catch. Good catch.
That is a good catch. That is a good catch. Uh, let's see. We also see Tom Cruise fight Paris, who is played by Palm, and Tom beats her, but lets her live, which is interesting. Which is something they think the algorithm maybe could not have predicted. Maybe it did. Who knows? But that was a little bit different. And then, let's see what else happens. What happens with Haley Atwell in this scene? She's going through something too. I forget what.
So I think the AI gives it a choice, right? For the key to end up with Gabriel, essentially, either Ilsa has to die or Grace has to die. And those are the
Okay.
calculations that it's made. So as Grace attempts to escape, she starts fighting Gabriel, and she's getting her ass kicked because she's not a spy and she doesn't have those skills. And then while
Mhm.
he's about to go down and kill her, he's like, "Okay, sure, you then." Ilsa could run, but she doesn't, and chooses to fight him because she saves Grace's life.
Oh,
And
that's what happened. You're right.
right,
So this leaves Haley Atwell's character to feel some kind of like, a little bit of like guilt towards that. So she wants to end up helping and join Ethan's cause. So what they do is they make a mask for her to be the White Widow, which is interesting. And then they try to make a mask for Ethan too, but it breaks. So now Ethan can't be there with her, and she has to do this on her own, right? A little bit of scariness, a little anxiousness that's happening in here. And then I believe Luther leaves because he has to go do something. So he's probably going to be featured more in the fourth film, but we kind of just see him kind of leave here. And then Grace puts on the mask and goes into the train and then replaces White Widow. Now Tom has to figure out how to get onto the train, and this is where they come up with the big stunt. Now this stunt is done completely without CGI. The only thing they do is remove the ramp, which everything else it's all Tom Cruise, which is crazy. What are your thoughts about the beginning of this train scene? Let's go to Rocky.
I mean, incredible. I look. We've all seen the behind the scenes stuff, and if you haven't, you should definitely check it out. It's a 9-minute video on YouTube on how they did the stunt. That was day one of shooting. That's incredible in itself. But what I was curious about was how they were going to build it up, and I thought they built it up really well in terms of
Yeah,
like the interaction with Simon Pegg, why he has to do it, and finally they do the edit of like going back to the women in his life that he's feels guilty about, and that's the
right.
emotional track ahead of him.
Yeah. And we mentioned this in another movie. Like Jazz, how was the silent in the theater when the motorcycle jumped? Because my entire theater was full and you can hear a pin drop. You can hear people's heart pounding.
Well, because it was only me, Rocky, and two others, our theater was also dead silent.
Oh, never mind. Well, mine was full and it was still dead silence. Like it was full and it was completely dead silence. Which
Having
I
been
thought
to
was,
both full and not full, it was pretty silent.
yeah, I thought that was really, really cool. The other thing that I really like about this is that after the stunt happens, we kind of don't hear from Ethan for a while. It's kind of just the Haley Atwell show for a while, which is kind of cool because I'm like, Tom Cruise is not the kind of guy that has to be on screen at all times. He gives a lot of time to Haley Atwell and all the stuff happening on the train and all the stuff happening with the other FBI agents, etc. So we get a little bit of that. And you can see her going through every single compartment. And they did that so you can remember what compartments there are. Because at the end, when all the compartments start falling, you can see them coming one by one, which is really, really cool. I definitely like that. And then we get to learn more about this AI and found out the US actually created it and lost it. Another fun twist that I really, really liked. Jazz, what are your thoughts about that?
So, my first thought when I saw this was, of course we did.
Right?
Of fucking course we did. The United States government creates one dangerous tool, and being the U.S. government they are, releases into the world thinking, oh, we have full control, like, we everything's in our power, only for it to backfire spectacularly. And now we're in this situation. This was great. Like when that director came back, I was like, of course, yeah. This is all right. You know what? I believe this now. This is cool.
Yeah. Rocky, what are your thoughts?
Loved it. I thought Carrie Elwes got like a really, really nice scene at the end with Isai Morales. I thought that sequence was good, and the train stuff in general was just all of it. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
let's talk about
pun
the train.
intended there, as it's sort of taken from Buster Keaton's The General with the huge train sequence at the end of that movie, and John Frankenheimer's The Train. Those were like the two big influences, and it's like watching Hollywood from the 20s and the 30s. They're doing silent movies. That's what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
And so in an era where like people are really not going to theaters, I mean, we've had bright spots, but in general, what a better way to get people to go than sort of going back to the beginning of movies by just doing silent movie stuff again.
Okay.
Very true.
Before we go on to the next thing, we'll want to take a commercial break, but when we get back, I'm going to talk about the one gripe I had with the movie.
All right, sure, we'll do that. We'll be back right after these messages. And we're back, guys. And Jazz has a lot to complain about. So, Jazz.
A lot.
No, I'm
It's
just kidding.
One thing.
All right.
And
What is your one thing? Because my one thing was the killing of Elsa. What's your one thing?
My one thing is Tom Cruise, or Ethan, when he's parachuting down onto the train, right?
Yeah.
And he just happens to break in the exact window he needs to break into and knock the guy out. Like, are you kidding me?
Well,
what
that's
are
just
the odds of that?
That's just dumb luck. I mean, first of all, there's only
every
like
action movie.
Yeah, sure, but like there's 5 cars in a train, so it's a 1 in 5 chance technically.
Well, no, there were way more. There were
really
like 10 cars. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
No,
1 in 10 chance is
so
pretty good.
They built it was about 7, I think.
Okay,
So
7.
6 or 7.
And you know it's not the caboose, and you know it's not the engine. So
it's
that
not the coal cart either. Fine, right?
so that's
you
4
have-
cars, 1 of 4.
Right, but like to knock the exact window of like where they
Jazz,
were like, in the middle.
Jazz, I have a question. Have you
What?
ever considered that Ethan is just that good?
It's just that good.
You know,
Forget Ethan. I think Tom Cruise could do that.
I can't argue with that logic that he's that good, but how did he know?
Look, what I will say is, so when I first saw it, if I had seen it the way you saw it the first time, like a pretty empty theater, I think I would have the same opinion. But the first time I saw it with a packed crowd, and they were loving it. And sort of through osmosis, I started laughing because I thought it was, fun. But if I saw it like with you the first time, I think I would be more on your side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
'Cause, like,
love how they
it's
shot that
Deus
scene though.
Machina. Yeah.
It's 90% practical. They actually built the carriages. The furniture is actually moving, because one of the things that McQuarrie said was like, CG is great, but like it makes things, you can get exactly what you want, so you don't know what you're missing. So when they crashed the steam engine or the locomotive, they attached cameras everywhere, and it created like a shaking effect that you would have never gotten through CG. So
Very true.
it just makes things like a bit more tactile, and that's why
Yeah.
it's so great, because it's real.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, I love the train sequence.
Yeah.
My only gripe was the fact that he picked the perfect window to come in.
I don't think he picked it. I think he just got lucky.
I know. Like, sure, yeah. I think he got lucky, right? But that's the one gripe I had with it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really mind it too much. And the other thing I think is really cool about that is that we didn't see it from his point of view. We saw it from Grace's point of view. So we hadn't seen Ethan for a while. Kind of forgot about him. And then all of a sudden he just comes through this window and you're like, oh yeah, this is the Tom Cruise movie. There he is. I thought that was really cool. A little good like distraction from the fact that we're in a Mission Impossible movie. I don't know. I really like that. And then the
wait. Because speaking about timing,
yeah.
So when the bombs on the bridge were happening, right? They had the timer going down from 3 minutes. I don't know why I do this, but I actually like to time it. And in this movie, they actually nailed the timing on it.
No way.
Yeah, it was really cool. Like I was like counting down. Like I don't know if Rocky, you saw me because I know you had to take a call at some point.
I did
But-
spot it. I did spot it.
Yeah, I was like legit counting down in the theater, and they were just spot on the money.
That's so funny. You know what I do? In the Mission Impossible, I don't know if it was 4 or 5, but there's this one underwater scene that he does. And
Yeah,
I try to hold
that's,
I try to hold my breath as long as Tom Cruise can, and I never can. I'm always like like that's it. Like I try to hold my breath in that scene. So that's one of the things.
that was the one where he held his breath for 6.5 minutes.
That man is insane, bro. That man is
Actually,
crazy.
I think what's her from Avatar 2, Kate Winslet now has the record. She did for 7.5 minutes for Avatar.
That's insane. Kate
7.5 minutes.
Something like that. Yeah, something like that. Things
I didn't even know
like
Kate Winslet was in Avatar.
I mean,
Who is
you don't
she
know
in
anybody
Avatar?
in
No,
Avatar.
Kate. Not is it Kate? No, she played. Yeah, Kate. Isn't it Kate Winslet? Or am I blanking? I'm probably blanking.
Are you talking about Zoe Saldana? No, I don't know.
No.
It's Winslet.
Like in Avatar 2. Avatar 2.
Oh,
It's Kate Winslet.
oh,
Yeah,
is
it's
it?
Kate
Okay.
Winslet. Yeah, Kate Winslet is the yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't
Right.
know that. Damn, she beat Tom Cruze. Well, let's not I hope Tom Cruise doesn't find out because they'll probably do it again.
Well, he's might be going to space. So.
he might be going to space. Might have to hold his breath again. But
Oh
the
no.
all right, so he goes to basically the bridge, and the train just starts collapsing, and you just see him hanging on the edge, and it goes from like one train he gets in, then that one falls and he gets in, this little domino effect thing, and then like things inside the train start falling, and it's just such a great sequence, and it reminds me a little bit about like Inception. It reminds me a little bit about like these old movies. Like I just love the way they did that. What were your thoughts about the introverted train sequence while it was falling?
I'll go on
Rocky
this one.
or Jazz, any of you?
Yeah. So the physics here were really cool. Like when the train was falling off, like it lifted the next cart up a bit. I was like,
Yeah,
that happens. And I
right?
don't see that in a lot of movies, like where something like this happens. And then everything's flying around. The only thing I may have noticed here was like the oil was really hot. It was like bubbling. It was on the floor, and then it splashed on them, and they didn't react at all. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's just me being anal about it. But no, like the train that kept rolling, right? Even after like one or two cars fell off, that would happen. So
Yeah.
somebody did the research here, and they just did a great job with this.
I mean, they also probably just had real trains there. They're probably really throwing them off the plane. for all we know.
They built the train and crashed it.
Yeah.
Because there were no trains lying around. If you're into train crashes, again, Buster Keaton's the general and John Frankenheimer's the train. I mean, it's like heavily.
I've seen
heavily
Buster
right
Keaton's
for
in
them.
general. That's the one where he has the log and on the train track, and then he
Yep.
throws it right before. Yeah, I've seen that.
To knock
Great
off that
movie.
one thing to clear the track.
And-
Yeah.
Back in those days, there was no insurance, so he did all that stuff for real, absolutely real.
Yeah. Buster Keaton is the OG. Like,
And that train
Yeah,
could have
and
derailed in the
that's
OG
sort of what
movie.
they're going after. That's what they're trying to recreate, and they're doing sort of like large scale, real practical action. Like the furniture's real. You feel how tactile it is. The piano when it like bursts through finally,
oh my god, that was so good.
right? And it's great that they did it through gimbals and wires, and yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. And then in the scene after all this stuff happens, Palm ends up betraying the AI or Gabriel or whoever, and ends up, telling Tom Cruise where the location is of this AI. And that's kind of where we leave off in the movie. Anything that I left that we didn't cover?
No, that's about it. The
um,
only thing I would give a shout out to is Vanessa Kirby playing Haley Atwell, playing her, and she was
Yeah.
she
and
was
and
so
it's
good.
cool because you can there's actually a way to tell the difference between who is who because they never change the eye color. So she has blue eyes when she's herself, and she has
Yep.
brown eyes when she's Haley Atwell.
I didn't notice that, but that's cool.
Yeah, apparently
And
neither did her
finally,
brother.
when he jumps out of the train and does the speed flying, that's real too, and that's the most dangerous stunt he did in the movie because speed flying can result. It's crazy. There's a behind the scenes video that you guys can watch, but that stuff is.
Oh yeah, no. he can die there.
Wow.
Like one miss move, and
Yeah.
that thing just crumples and free fall. Like you're done.
Dude, just him like on the motorcycle without a helmet is enough for me to be like, yo, this man is insane. That guy is crazy, man. The stuff
We
that
love
he
Tom
does.
Cruise.
We
Church of
we
TC.
the thing is, man, he does this for his fans, for his audience. Like, he is so in tune with what his fan want out of him. Like, there's some people like The Rock. People are like, okay, we're kind of sick of The Rock, or like, you have like these actors who try to do comedy roles, or they try to do be heartthrobs. Tom Cruise, like, no, I know exactly what people want from me now, and I'm going to give it to them. He's given up that he's ever going to get an Oscar. He's given up. He's not going to make another Born on the 4th of July. He's not going to make another Jerry Maguire. He's like, I'm going to go do what people like about me and what no one else can do, and I'm going to do it better than anyone else. And it works.
He
So
needs
apparently,
Oscar
the next
anyways.
movie he's got with McQuarrie is like a R-rated action movie that's very different from Mission Impossible. Very like breakneck stuff. Apparently,
That's
Yeah, no,
gonna
I
be
hope he
interesting.
gets the Oscar. He deserves it.
I mean, Born on the 4th of July was an amazing movie. Like, if he could have gotten in for anything, it would have been that. Or maybe even Jerry Maguire. I don't know. Jerry Maguire's up there too.
absolutely. I mean, Collateral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
The
Tom
Firm.
Cruise The Firm. Tom Cruise is official, like the last action star. Like, he is the last movie star.
I mean, I
Like,
think he's the last movie star in general. We
yeah,
don't really, you can make an argument for Leo, but
like, people go see a movie because his name's attached to it. You don't do that for anyone else. Like, Chris Evans is an A-list actor, but I'm not going to go see the next Chris Evans movie. I'm not like, I wasn't even excited that Robert Downey Jr. was in Oppenheimer. That was just because it was a Christopher Nolan movie. There are no like A-list actors. Leo maybe is probably the closest thing we have, but like, there's no like movie star where you're like, hey, this is the guy who's headlining this movie, and we're gonna watch this movie just because it's him. Like, it's really just Tom Cruise.
I mean, Steven Spielberg told him in person, you save the movies.
Yeah.
He did.
I don't know. That's Tom Cruise, man, and we love him. All right, we're gonna take one more commercial break, and we're gonna come back with Easter eggs. So some of them we already talked about, though. Rocky's just that good that he already spoiled us some of them.
He's already
But
ahead of
there are a
us.
few others. I know he's already ahead of us, but we'll go back with some more Easter eggs. So we'll be back in 5, 4, 3, 2. And we're back, guys. Welcome back to Salaam Nerds. All right, we're gonna wrap up this Mission Impossible with some Easter eggs, man. We got some fun Easter eggs. One we already talked about is the infamous COVID rant movie. We talked about that a little bit, which I thought was really cool. And let's see. Oh, Palm Kermiti, Kermite,
Palm Clemente.
Clemente, Palm Clemente. So she's still good in this movie, and it's because she is a world-class 3-time karate champion. She is like a world-renowned karate champion 3 times.
If you follow her on Instagram, she does a lot of skydives, and she's incredibly athletic, like incredible.
Yeah, that's insane. They said she did so many stunts and so many things in this movie that they started calling her Palm Cruise.
Well deserved.
Right? That was pretty cool. We talked about Dead Reckoning being a nautical term. We talked about that. Let's see. Oh, did you know that Tom Cruise has it in his contract that he can never be scanned or de-aged? So that's why this motherfucker never ages, because you don't even need it. But in the scene where he's in the flashback,
They consider de-aging.
Yeah, he wouldn't let them de-age him, so he's in the shadows.
Well, they actually asked for a price. The original plan was they had a role, the Mariela Garriga character. She was supposed to be played by Julia Roberts. It's what McQuarrie said, and they were trying to de-age Isai Morales, Tom Cruise, and her. And once they got the budget for it, they're like, let's just not do this.
But yeah, Tom Cruise has in his contract now, though.
I want to know what the price was then. Like,
Yeah, I know, right? I
I
wish.
know. Yeah. In the scene where Elsa has an eye patch on and she's sniping people, the reason she has an eye patch on is she cannot wink. She cannot close one eye. Like she literally can't.
that's funny.
So they put an eye patch on her. They were like, "Okay, we need you to wink," and she like couldn't do it. And they're like, "All right, fine, let's do the other eye." She couldn't do it. They're like, "All right, somebody get her an eye patch." So that's why she's wearing an eye patch in that movie, even though she can see, which I thought is so funny. The actor just couldn't wink. That was
Hey
just
man,
crazy.
modern problems require modern solutions. So
Yeah,
eye patch was a nice touch there.
I know.
It worked for me, so I'm good with it.
This is the most expensive Mission Impossible movie with a budget of 291 million, and a lot of that is because of the COVID issues.
How much would it have been without the COVID issues? I'm curious.
I guess.
Well, the thing
never
is, they
know.
were also shooting this one and the other one back to back, so it's kind of hard to say which one was only for this because they've shot 40% of part 2 already.
Yeah. So yeah, so I guess we don't really know.
If that's the case, this movie costs less than Secret Invasion.
I know, and Secret Invasion is just terrible. In fact, Mission Impossible is more of a spy movie than Secret Invasion. There's more masks and people wearing different like costumes and being other people than Secret Invasion.
This movie cost exactly 2 Barbies.
That's funny. Also the sleight of hand that Tom Cruise does, that's all him. No camera tricks or CGI. That's just all him. He just knows how to do sleight of hand. Man's just incredible. And then there were a few people who got COVID during the shooting. This is what Tom Cruise did. He spent his own money, £500,000, to rent a cruise ship so everyone who got COVID can isolate on this cruise ship and get better and come back to work.
My man.
That's crazy. His own money.
My man.
Like, he definitely was like, I'm going to save the movie industry. Like, we don't know what's going to happen with COVID, but my movie is going to be, at the very least, the last big movie that we have. And then Oppenheimer screwed him over with selling out all the IMAX theaters. A little salty about that.
No, I mean, I
Very
think it's a good
much
thing,
so.
though. Because, like, here's the thing. I don't know if... I know I would have seen it in Limax, right? If I
Yeah.
had the option to see Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, and I unfortunately did see it a couple weeks late, and all the IMAX playings were for other movies. If I had the option, I totally would have seen it in IMAX, right? Would I
Yeah.
have seen it in 70mm IMAX? I don't know.
Well, it wasn't shot in 70 millimeters. So I mean, it wasn't
That's the
really
thing,
even
right?
shot in IMAX. It would just be
Yeah. But the
Yeah,
thing
it
is, like,
wasn't-
Oppenheimer wasn't going to move their date because the Barbieheimer meme is what like was blowing up. Like, there's no way either of those movies were going to move their date. So it would have had to be Tom Cruise moving his date, right? So I guess they just couldn't work it out.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Also, part 2 is going to be the final movie for Mission Impossible. He's not going to play Ethan Hunt anymore.
He said he wants to do it till he's 80. So
I don't know. I heard a rumor that it might be. So,
I
don't
think
know.
that's how it originally started. But when they asked him recently, he was like, "I want to keep making them."
All right. Hopefully he does. I am definitely for that.
I'm down.
You already talked about the stuff with the English translation from Russian to English with the Hunt to Red October. So that was interesting. You already mentioned that. Some other Easter eggs. We talked about. He goes like, we talked about this. It was like, I understand you're upset. He goes, you've never seen me upset. So it's very much from the first movie. And then finally, the White Widow is the daughter of Max, who was the weapons dealer in the first Mission Impossible movie. So a little bit of a callback there. And these are all the fun Easter eggs that I got doing a bunch of Google searches.
Nice.
Yeah. So look, overall, I love this movie. Mission Impossible. Love Tom Cruise. I hope this guy keeps making these movies until like I'm 80. Like I hope they find a way to like keep him around so that he can keep making these movies, man. Because he will make these movies until he dies. Like, I don't think if he died making this movie, I wouldn't even feel bad because I feel like that's how he would want to go out,
Yeah.
making stuff for his fans. Like that's what he would want. Like he died doing what he loved, and he loves making movies for his fans, putting his life on the line and giving people this authentic experience, making people feel something in the movie theaters. Like something as simple as jumping from one building to another is not the same when Tom Cruise does it, because he does it and shatters his leg. Like it's crazy. I don't know. What are your final thoughts, Jazz?
So yeah, I mean, there's not much more I can add at this point. Just a great movie. I had a wonderful time. I can't wait to see Dead Reckoning Part 2.
Yeah, I just wish it didn't have such a big drop in the box office because of Barbenheimer. I think it could have done so much better, but still, fantastic movie. And I wish we were still in the ages of DVDs, because I feel like when this movie back in the day, if a movie like this came out on DVD, it would have made so much money just on DVD alone, right? Rocky, what are your thoughts?
Um, the greatest action franchise ever? Question mark.
Yeah, yeah. I
No,
would
there's no
say
question mark.
Let's see how they end part 2.
It's a period.
yeah, especially consistent. There's not a lot that are consistent, because like you go to like Fast and Furious or some of these other ones, some of them are hit or miss. This is like all rise, baby, all rise. Just love this franchise. I love the callbacks. I love the action sequence, and I'm going to model my life after Tom Cruise. I'm going to continue to do that.
Hopefully not exactly like Tom Cruise.
Church of
but,
TC.
Yeah.
Church of TC. Let's go.
I would say professionally. Everything that he does professionally, I would like to mimic.
Right.
But yes, Tom Cruise is the GOAT when it comes to being an action star, and we're here for it. All right, that's all we have for this episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let us know what your thoughts are. What did you think of this movie? Did you like it? Did you love it? I know we were super late today, so we don't have anybody in the comments and nobody chattering. But still, let us know on my Facebook page, or not Facebook. What am I?
TikTok.
An old man? TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. Let us know what you thought about it. And
Yes,
until
you're an
next
old
time,
man.
guys, Salaam nerds.
Peace.